Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Aulia here, and you're welcome with the Walkers. I do videos on motherhood, health and fitness, and family vlogging. If that's something that interests you, then definitely stick around. In today's video, we're going to be talking about mental health and what it means to be mentally healthy. And I'm probably going to put some things at the bottom of here just so we give ourselves a bit of like a direction in which we are going in. This is going to be a very conversational type of video, and I'm just going to jump right into it. How do you guys approach mental health? Like, how do you look at your mental health? Like, what do you, when you approach it, what is your idea of it and how it should be? I think personally for me, I look at mental health truly as like, just like trying to be consistent with anything in life. I look at every day is not going to be the same as the next day or the last day. And, you might have to switch some things around, and you might have to think about different ways in which you can approach your mental health. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that that allows you to have a bit of grace when it comes to how you approach your mental health, because you can get up into your head and think, oh, I haven't done this or I haven't done that, and haven't been consistent with it, and once you fall off, there's just no getting back or anything like that, when in real life it is, it's an ebb and flow. Your mental health, it's just like trying to be consistent with working out. It's just like trying to be consistent with eating better. It's just like trying to stick to a routine, and so for me, that's how I look at it and how I approach it. So I wonder how you guys look at your mental health and how you approach your mental health. Like I said, I think when approaching it in that way, where it's not an all or nothing, and it's not going to be you wake up this day and you're like, boom, mental health on point. I journaled, I did this, I did that, and everything's all good. It's like, actually, this is something that I'm going to have to work on consistently. This is something that I'm going to have to work on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, and so I think that that allows us to have a bit of grace with ourselves, where we can say, okay, I may not have journaled, I may not have done this, but I did spend time doing something else that is helping my mental health, my mental capacity. And I guess I'm just here to say, like, you know don't be too hard on yourself, and don't feel that because every day isn't rainbows and sunshine, that your mental health is now down the drain. It's just, life is what life will be lifing, and we're not going to be able to show up in the way in which we wanted to show up every single day. But it doesn't mean that we don't kind of fall back into that space of helping ourselves mentally. You know what I mean? And so, how does it look for me to take care of my mental health and my mental capacity? And what that looks like for me is I have to make sure that I'm journaling. I have to make sure that I am spending time with God. I have to make sure that I do have some time to myself where I can meditate, and I can, have that peace and that moment of complete silence and quiet, and where my thoughts aren't racing, and I'm truly just, my mind is blank. My mind is not running a million miles an hour. Those are just some ways that I take care of my mental health. Now, case in point, this isn't something that happens easily, and it's not something that I do every single day. It's something that I have to work at. It's something that I have to be purposeful about. It's something that I have to be consistent with, and I haven't been consistently journaling. I haven't been consistently meditating. When it comes to me and God, though, that's a different story. That's an everyday type of thing. And I think that that's something that's like, it's just within you, or if or spiritually, it's just within you. You might not be speaking with God, but you may be connecting with yourself on a spiritual level. And then, the next thing I want to talk about is the word no and being a people pleaser. The word no and being a people pleaser, when it comes to that, it's like, we don't have, I'm a people pleaser, just to say, we want to start off right there. I am full blown a people pleaser. I do enjoy helping people. I do enjoy, being able to say yes and being able to be the person that someone can rely on. I enjoy being that person, but there is a time where you do have to consistently put yourself first and say no, and as a people pleaser, that word is hard to get out. That word is hard to spit out. It's not an easy word to say. You feel so bad. You feel so bad when you say, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. You just, oh, it doesn't feel right in your body. However, I think as a people pleaser, you truly become everyone else's reliable person, and sometimes you lose yourself in that. You completely lose yourself in that, and so flexing those muscles and repeating to yourself, I can say no, or it's okay to say no, or, the world's not going to come crumbling down because I was not able to fulfill this person's yes at this moment in time. It doesn't make you a horrible person. It doesn't make you an unreliable person. It makes you a person who, at that moment in time, checked in with themselves and said, this isn't the best time for me right now. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to pass. This isn't the best time for me right now. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no. It doesn't come easy, but it takes flexing those muscles. And what I have found to be the best form for me in order to be able to mitigate those feelings of feeling, unworthy and untrustworthy and someone who is unreliable was to check in with myself. If someone's asking you to do something and you're a people pleaser and you're not used to saying no, you're automatically immediately saying yes. Whatever it looks like that someone is needing from you, if you don't take a step back and say, actually, let me take a look at my schedule and I'll see what it is that I can do. Even if you don't have a schedule, you can still look at that schedule, that non-existent schedule. It's your life. You still can choose what it is that you want to do and say yes or no to. Are they taking the time to acknowledge your time? Are they taking the time to acknowledge your space? No, no. The answer is no. And I don't want to say that that's fine, but we're all in our own different worlds. So that's to be expected. It's to be expected that no one is probably really going to be thinking about you and your time and what it means for you to have to show up for them. You know what I mean? And so when you can kind of take a step back and say, actually, no, I'm going to have to take some time to think about this. That's you choosing you, and when you feel anxious about it or kind of unsure about it, that's just you realizing that you've always said yes. A yes. You've always rearranged your life in order to accommodate a yes. And so our bodies have a natural reaction to a yes when we really wanted to say no. And our bodies will tell us if we're saying yes to something and we don't really want to say yes to it. Our bodies will let us know. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel a bit frustrated that here you are. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. And then now someone asked me to do this and now blah, blah, blah. But I do want to help them. I do want to help them out. I don't mind. And so on, you go down this rabbit hole of how you do want to help them, but you also have so much on your plate. Did you honor yourself in that moment? Did you choose yourself in that moment? Did you have a backbone for yourself in that moment? And if the answer is no, you didn't have all this for yourself in that moment, then your body's going to let you know. Is it worth it? Is it worth you feeling that way just to appease someone else? And that answer is no too. That answer is a full no. It's not worth your anxiety. It's not worth your stress. It's not worth your appearance of being someone who is reliable to people who aren't really realizing it and acknowledging the time that you're taking to do this. Yes. And so yeah, so that people pleaser attitude, that people pleaser mindset, the mindset of not being able to say no, the mindset of not being able to let anyone down, it's time to let it go. And it's time to choose you, because no is a full sentence. No is a full N-O, period. End of story. End of story. You know what I mean? So As a people pleaser, trust me, I understand and I know what it feels like to have to say no and have to flex those muscles. It's taken me some time, but to put so many other people and their things above my own needs, right? Because that's what it turns into. You're putting other people before yourself consistently and constantly. And so if you're done with that, if you don't want to do that anymore, choose you. Choose you. Choose yourself. So again, if you don't know what it is or why you're saying no, ask yourself some solid questions. Ask yourself what it is. If it's because you consistently have been wanting to read a book, then the answer is no, because I want to read a book. You know what I mean? So with that being said, let's move on to the next kind of mental health barrier, I guess, or the mental health how you show up for yourself in a mental health capacity, how you show up for yourself and keep true to you and consistent to you. And that is like addiction, and whether it is sugar addiction, I don't even know what to call it. I really don't, you guys. Like we're just having a conversation here, but so or sometimes we can overeat to relieve stress. Sometimes we can overdrink to relieve stress. Sometimes, and it's a no go. It's not good for us. And so, with that being said, let's just, for example, imagine like, okay, you've had a crazy day at work. You've had such a long day. The week has been insane as well, and you come home and you're like, I just need myself a drink. Okay. I just need myself a drink. Okay. Or even say you get home and you're like, I just need that one meal that's going to just set me right. Okay. I just need that meal that's going to get me right, or I need those snacks that are going to get me right. I need that sugar intake that's going to help me feel better, but what's important is that we don't seek out those things to help us feel better. Sugar intake, sugar intake is going to make you feel better at that moment and that time. That meal, that overeating meal is going to make you feel better in that moment and in that time. That stress eating, stress drinking, it's going to make you feel better in that time. But did we actually pause and take a look at ourselves? Did we pause and take a look at what it is that is stressing us out, or that is frustrating us, or that does make us feel like we need that drink? And so, speaking from personal experience, it's like, you feel this anxiousness and you're just like, I just need a drink just to cool it down just a bit, just a teeny bit, and take that drink in, and you're like, and as soon as you take it in, you feel so much calmer, you feel a bit better, you feel like, okay, all right. I can now face the rest of my day, because even after work, there is still many, many, many things to get done and many, many things to do. But say you did take that drink, what did that do? Did that truly relieve that anxiety? Did that truly relieve that stress? Or did it numb it? Right? Did it relieve it or did it numb it? Numb. We are just numbing ourselves with the sugar intake. We are just numbing ourselves with the eating, the excessive eating. We are just numbing ourselves with an alcoholic beverage. It's just numbing it. It's just saying, I'm not going to deal with this right now, or I'm not going to deal with this at all. And so that's a scary thing when you think about it. You're like, dang, like, I mean, I had that drink and now I feel like everything's all fine, everything's cool, everything's good, when it's really not. You know what I'm saying? And it's really just a way to just sweep it under the rug. We're sweeping our own feelings under the rug. We are running away from our own feelings, and we are choosing to take in that extra sugar. We're choosing to take in that extra meal, and we're choosing to either drink because it relieves that stress. So I feel like I'm like, What what do you do in that time of stress? What do you do in that time of wanting to have that extra meal? What do you do in that time of saying, I just need a drink just to settle my nerves a little bit? You take a step back. You take a step back and you say, well, what is it that I am either running from, or what is it that I am excessively eating for? What is it? What is it? I have had a stressful week. I deserve to have this drink. I deserve to have this extra meal. I deserve to have this extra sugar intake. Does your body deserve that? Is that a good thing that we are doing to our bodies? Or is that just a form of numbing? Is that just a form of not feeling the feelings of anxiety, of depression, of stress, of, fear? We're just numbing those feelings. We aren't facing them. And when you face your feelings, and when you face your fears, and when you face your anxiety, it is scary. It is very, very scary. And it's a moment that you do have to be honest with yourself. And being honest with ourselves is hard. Looking ourselves in the mirror and acknowledging that everything isn't fine, and acknowledging that we've been sweeping our own feelings under the rug, it's a scary thing. So the next time you kind of feel yourself facing those feelings and having those feelings of fear and anxiety and uncertainty, take a moment and sit still, and take a moment and say, well, what is it that is having me feel so much fear? What is it that is making me feel so unsure? So think about what it is that stresses you out, and that gives you that fear that makes you want to run to alcohol, or gives you that fear that makes you want to run to sugar, or gives you that fear and it makes you want to run to overeating, excessively eating. What is it that's bothering me? And again, it's these are my own personal experiences. Maybe your personal experiences obviously are different. Maybe you stop yourself before you have that drink, and maybe you settle in to what it is that's stressing you out. Maybe you settle into that fear and you say, yeah, I know I'm scared right now that so much is going on with this elder, and I'm scared for them. I'm fearful of the future, of what is going to happen to them. I'm fearful of my future and what's going to happen to me if this is now my life. Those are some hard things to just acknowledge. But sometimes that's all it takes. All it takes sometimes is to acknowledge that fear, and to acknowledge that anxiety, and to acknowledge that stress. Sometimes it's just a matter of acknowledging you and yourself and where you are, to say, oh, I don't need to eat more. I don't need this sugar intake, and I don't need this glass of wine, or I don't need this shot of liquor. I just needed to understand myself, and I needed to hear myself, and I needed to acknowledge myself, right? It's just a matter of listening to yourself and acknowledging your mental space and where it is right there and right now. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, like that weighs heavy, I think, on a lot of us. Is where's the fear coming from? Where's the stress coming from? Where's the anxiety coming from? And when we use other things to mitigate that fear and that stress, we're not facing it head on. That's not a mentally healthy thing for us to do. The most mentally healthy thing for us to do is to pause, take a moment, and acknowledge ourselves. Acknowledge yourself, talk to yourself, let yourself know what those fears are that you are going through. There is nothing like feeling like you've been heard. When you feel like you've been heard, and that someone is listening, and that someone doesn't even actually have to be an outside someone, but when you are feeling like you've spoken to yourself, and it's like, oh, so that's what's making us stressed out. That's what's making us fear. That's what's making us anxious. Got it. When you acknowledge yourself and when you hear yourself, your body then rests. It sits in a restful space to be like, You heard me. You heard me. And you allowed me to speak to you. And you allowed me to express my fears and express my feelings. And your body will genuinely relax within itself. It will soothe within itself. Listen to your body, respond to your body, and come up with solutions in which you can then relieve that stress, that anxiety, and that fear. Not running to things, run to yourself. Run inside to yourself. Get deep, deep down into you. And when we take a look within ourselves, that's when we can kind of not rely so heavily on these things that help us unstress or decompress. We're just numbing. These things don't aid in mental health and your healing and your mental health healing. They're only numbing factors. They're only things that are going to just sweep your issue under the rug, and your body's going to be like, here you go again. Here you go again, sweeping me under the rug. Here we go again, you ignoring me. Here you go again, turning your back on me, right? We're turning our backs on ourselves when we choose to grab the sugary stuff, grab the overeating stuff, grab the alcohol stuff. We're turning our backs on ourselves, and our body's like, here we go again. And then you get anxious, and you just you're fighting with yourself. Stop fighting with yourself. Don't do it. Stop fighting with yourself and really, really, really look internally. That's what I've learned that I've had to do. I've seen some stuff where I'm like, if I turn my back on this, I'm going to be anxious. If I turn my back on myself, I'm going to be so fearful. You know what I mean? My body's going to tell me that, quick tea break. So I have my tea here, and I have, this is like a ginger lemon tea. I put, some honey, and I added more lemon inside of it. I do like my drinks a little lemony. But yeah, have yourself some tea, have a tea break. And let's get into the next topic. And the next topic is, and I have my notes here, of course, jumping into the next topic is becoming your own best friend. That has so much to do with mental health. Becoming your own best friend, being that person that stands up for you, being that person that is going to say, is this how I want to be treated? Do I see this continuing on for the rest of my life? No one's going to have your back more than you have your own back, And so when you show up for yourself, and when you create that backbone for you, your mental health increases tenfold, right? It increases tenfold because you have decided that you're going to be your best friend. You're going to have a backbone for yourself, and you're not going to turn a blind eye to the things that you want, And so, speaking on mental health and trying to be mentally healthy, become your best bet. Become your ace. Become your, like, if I don't have my back, I know my back's going to have my back. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't have my back is going to have my back. You know what I'm saying? That backbone. We can have backbones that are a bit like a noodle, and we're bending here, we're bending there, and we're so flexible. We're flexible as all get out for everybody else and for everyone else's needs. We're flexible, flexible, flexible. And that backbone wants to be strong, and it wants to be strong for you. You know what I'm saying? And so, in saying that, and in terms of our mental health, it's like, how can I show up for myself, and how can I be my best self? It is to work on your backbone. It is to work on creating a strong, solid backbone for yourself. And again, that takes you to look back within you and say, what is it that I want? Have there been times where I felt like I didn't have a strong backbone? Have there been times where I feel like I didn't show up for myself? Have there been times where I felt like I bent over backwards to accommodate something and it wasn't what I wanted to do? Have I been so accommodating that I no longer have a backbone, that I no longer trust myself with a no, that I no longer trust myself with a that's not what I want to do? Do you trust yourself? And I think that that's where backbone, your backbone comes into play. Your backbone has everything, in my opinion, to do with your self worth. Your backbone has to do with your self esteem. You know, if you have a backbone that is weak and that is like a noodle and you bend over for everyone, that's because you don't believe you're worth more than what you've either been told, you've either been unbeknownst to you, kind of just born and raised within that space of just you listen to what is being told to you rather than taking what you need and leaving the rest. You know, what is that? And so for me, that's like my mental health truly relied a lot on um, making sure that I grew my backbone and that I stood firm with my backbone. You know what I mean? And through therapy, I have learned to have a backbone. You know, it wasn't something that it's like something that I knew I didn't have or it wasn't as strong. And I was like, I know I need to be stronger at this. I know I want to be better at this. And it took work. You have to work at building your backbone. You have to work at creating a strong backbone, you know, and that backbone is going to be what has your back. You know what I'm saying? Like that ability to say no, it's you having that backbone to say, I'm standing firm in my no, and I'm standing tall in my no, and I'm standing confident in my no, because my self worth is more than what this yes is going to bring you, right? I'm standing firm in this because it's stronger than what I believe this yes for you will give to me. Having my strong backbone solid is going to allow me to remember my self worth, my self confidence, my self esteem. It's going to lead you forward in so many different areas of your life. You know, having a strong backbone. This, again, these are things that I've noticed from myself, you know, and so I just wanted to start a conversation around, you know, mental health and what it means, you know, saying the word no, what it means to not excessively eat, drink, or increase your sugars, and what it means to have a backbone, you know, what it means to show up for yourself, what it means to have a level of self-worth and a level of self-esteem and a level of self-confidence. You know, that has to do with your mental health. If your mental health isn't where it needs to be, if it's not worked on a consistent basis, your backbone's going to be weak. You're going to have a weak backbone. That backbone's going to be it wants to be strong, and that backbone wants to carry you through that no, you know. But if we aren't working on it, and if we aren't, you know, consistently working on it, we're not going to feel that self-worth. We're not going to feel that self-esteem get higher and that self-confidence skyrocket, you know. And so I don't know. That's kind of just how this conversation can be so much larger than what it is right now. And there's so many talking points that we can go off of, you know, but this was just something that I had thought about. And I really just wanted to sit down with you guys and just have a conversation. And, you know, if someone can, you know, relate to it, or if you hear something that's like, it really gets you and it hits you right in the stomach, right in the chest. That's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? That's what I'm showing up for, is to have these conversations, you know? And so I would just encourage you to think about those things. Think about those aspects of your mental health. You know, mental health again has to do with your self-worth and your self-esteem and your self-confidence, you know, and that backbone. Build your backbone. Build your backbone. That backbone is going to have your back. When even your mind is telling you, you should say yes to this because you've always said yes. You should say yes to this because that's just who you are. You should say yes to this because you'll feel bad if you don't say, if you say no. Having a strong backbone means that your self-worth, your self-confidence, and your self-esteem is on such a high level that even if your mind is telling you you should feel bad for this, your body will feel calm. Your body will be like, the answer was no. You know what I'm saying? Or the answer was, or I turned away from that sugar. I turned away from that excessive eating. I turned away from that drink. You turned away from it and your body will be like, that's the person that I wanted to see. That's a person that says she is self-worth. That is a person that says I have high self-esteem. That is the person that I've been looking for. You know what I'm saying? So that back is going to have your back, but you want to strengthen it. Okay. You want to strengthen that self-worth and that self-pride and that self-esteem. And how do you do it? And again, it can look different for so many different people and in so many different ways. But I think it definitely starts with asking the question of what it is that you want, what it is that you need from yourself. What do I need from myself right here in this moment? If I need to just sit still right here in this moment and not take that drink because I need to then go face everything else, how about you don't go face everything else? And how about you go sit still and today's not the day? That's an element of self-worth, right? So yeah, you guys, I will stop it here. I hope that you guys absolutely enjoyed this video and I would love to continue this conversation, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hey, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Aulia here in my channel. RJ, can you stop making those noises?